How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well, having a great weekend. I want to do a short video on talking about support. This has been really big for me. Here recently, it's really helped me out using support in a couple different ways. I guess before I started using support like I was supposed to, I was holding on to the piece, but I wasn't supporting it well. I was supporting it enough that the flakes were releasing, but they weren't doing near as much as they could have been with added support. And I had no idea. I didn't know when to use support and when not to. With the surface support and the back edge support, and I just didn't know, so I didn't do it. Well, after watching Marty Reeder and listening to him talk about using support on thin bifaces in order not to break them by squeezing in this way in a straight line, that dropped my breakage rate big time. So I was breaking way less stuff immediately when I started doing that. And I still have to remind myself sometimes I'll break one, and it's usually because I wasn't supporting it. I forgot. But especially when your biface starts getting thin, excuse me, you can just apply some pressure end to end. Say this is your point. You wanna squeeze on there and squeeze it. Put pressure this way, and also you can apply it from the sides as well. Excuse me. What I do is sometimes is just pretend like it's broken in 2 or 3 pieces, and I'm trying to hold it together. Maybe just act like you just put super glue on it and you're trying to hold it in one piece without putting any bending forces on it, or it would come apart on you. That's kind of the support that you need to have coming in from all edges, but from the ends mainly. That end, the support from pushing from the ends will keep you from end snapping it when you're hitting it on the ends. And when it starts getting thin, just all the way through, if you can remember, just support it well. And now the back edge support is something totally different. That's when you're when you're driving the piece into the back of your hand, or into your palm or wherever. Goodness. Frog in my throat. But what you do is just try to drive it into the back of your hand, whether you're using the under the leg tool and you're backing your hand up into this other leg and you're applying back edge pressure like that, and then hitting it and you're loading pressure on the platform, or if you're just using your billet, free swinging it, you just want to concentrate on driving that thing right into the back of your hand. And I usually give it a couple little taps just to feel that it's solid, and let myself mentally go through that checklist. Okay, is my support good? Am I lining up? Am I accurate? Is my edge good? This one really wasn't very good. But then I got the camera in a horrible position. When you apply that back edge support, the flake, it'll initiate a little bit deeper right off the edge, because that bulb is you've got support on it, so it's driving that little bulb of percussion is going straight in, and it's digging in deeper before it's leveling out and taking off, and that fracture or the flake will spread out and run to your support wherever it might be. And if you're working on the back of your leg, you can you can apply back edge support just by, what I do is kind of bend my finger and just kind of jam it into the edge of my knuckle here. And sometimes you can really get nice results like that too. I'm gonna ruin this biface. I'm not really sitting in a position where I can flint nap. I was planning on drawing on the board mostly. So the back edge support is huge. I mean, if you haven't experimented around with it yet, you really should, because it really works. And once you start getting a feel for it, you can really control how long your flakes run and where they go and how deep they dive and how much mass you remove and stuff. And it's just going to take a while. I'm still getting used to the support thing, but like I said, it helps out tremendously. And what I'm finding now more than anything is, of course it helps to have a ton of material to go through. You can kind of work these things out a little easier, but it's harder when you're scrimping and with material. It's always feast or famine with me. But anyways, what I was going to say is what's helping me most here recently is being able to adjust my support on the fly. And what I mean by that is you're managing your support a little differently with each strike, and depending on how the edge looks. And I'm getting to realize that this big long follow through swing is the way to go, not this short stuff up here. It just takes a lot better flakes. Now the surface support is a whole different animal there as well. You want to use surface support. My big thing is why I didn't use it, because I didn't know when to use it. I just thought people did that, put their finger down there to look cool. But I'm just going to embarrass myself for trying to hit this thing. But anyways, if you use support, basically I don't use support when I'm flaking into a flat area, or I know it's going to be a real thin flake, and the support could maybe cause it to break, or that's all I need is a real thin flake in that area, or a small short flake. I won't use any surface support. But especially when you're striking down on the edge rather than in, really either or, it works great either way. But using that surface support, when I don't want to use it is when I'm flaking into a flat area, or I just want to remove a small flake. When I do want to use it, this is real simple, is when I want the flake to run deeper and farther. And sometimes I'll use surface support right along the edge if I think the edge, it looks like it's going to crush, and I'm just taking some little short edge turning flakes. I'll get my finger right up on the edge there, and a lot of times that'll help it from getting those little step fractures along the edge. And this, you'll just have to, it takes time to learn your edges. Of course, we're not talking about edges, I'm talking about support, but It's all the same. It just takes time to get familiar with what works and what don't. I would say my advice to you guys would be just play around with the support thing and the back edge support. If you're a lap napper, you can brace up your hand behind the piece, and if it's a longer biface, you can hit it, and you'll notice, like, if your support's diagonally across the piece, like over here, and you smack it, that flake will take off and run. It'll spread out and run right to that support. Or if it's straight across, it'll spread out and go to it. Something to remember is always a flake will always be round. When you take it on a flat surface, it's more likely to be thin and round and possibly step fracture if it doesn't feather all the way out. You got to have your angle pretty much dialed in when you're flaking into a big flat area like that. But if I got a good ridge and I'm wanting to remove some decent material, and I'm not wanting that flake to fail, I've been using surface support with my fingers, and it really seems to help. Something to remember with the surface support is you either want to support the very front of the flake right off the edge where it releases, and then sometimes when you do that, it'll still do something goofy back here. So what I do, other than when I'm doing that, you never want to support it back. Say I'm taking a flake from right here, you never want to start your support back off the edge like this, because it'll step fracture right there. When it gets to your support, it breaks every time almost. If you got a real thick flake and you got a nice heavy platform, you can back off a little bit and get the fracture to undercut your support enough that it'll drive its way through. But most of the time, if your support starts back from the edge, it'll step. So what I try to do is just support the flake evenly, the full length of the flake, however far I want it to go. If I'm trying to get all the way across the piece, I'll just support it the full length. And I'm usually using this part of my middle finger for support, and this top part of my index finger, and this finger here is the one that usually gets nailed with the flakes coming off. So remember to tuck that one in. It's just in a bad spot. It's always right there, and a flake flies off and gets me. I need to start covering it up or something. But so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could say or that I wanted to go over. If you're not real comfortable putting your fingers under there, just get you a piece of leather, a piece of soft leather. Ideally just a small piece, and then just lay your workpiece right on top of that leather. You can take it all the way out to the edge, and that provides even better support, I think, than using your finger, because it's consistent. You don't have to worry about cutting your fingers up and smacking them and driving your fingernails into your cuticles. So, but yeah, that soft leather works really well with the under the leg, under the knee percussion. I don't know where my tool is, but you guys know what I'm saying, with the copper or whatever your tool is. That soft leather support works really well, because you're hitting down and you need some support to carry that flake further across. You can get some inward angle by tilting your workpiece, but that surface support really helps. And then if you set your platform a little bit higher, like up around the center line, you can really drive off some mass. You get that bulb to initiate in there up here right above the edge and go straight in. It'll cut in deep. So yeah, other than that, the only other thing I could say is support your tip of your workpiece when you're hitting on the ends of it. If you got a big long piece, just stick the tip into your leg. Hit it with your billet, or if if you can support it with your hand enough, I can get about a 5 or 6 inch piece probably comfortably, and then after that I gotta plug it into my leg and hit it or hit it with my tool. So what is that, 15 minutes? Yeah, I guess that's it for this one. Just wanted to get that out of the way and try to go over that a little bit, because I know a lot of people, that could really help a lot of people out, I'm sure of it. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you on the next one. I'll put this on my Facebook group and my YouTube channel. They're both called Learning to Flint Nap. I'll catch you on the next one.